Welcome everyone, Farmer Cop here. This is going to be a guide to the cereal productions facility in Farming Simulator 22. So to start off, in order to get going with cereal productions, and all of this is timestamped down below, so if you want to skip ahead to a specific portion that you're looking for, feel free to do so. But we're going to go ahead and jump into it. So first you have to purchase a production building. So a couple ways to go about that. If there is one built into the map, which we are on Elm Creek here, if we go into the map here, I believe there's one down here. Yeah, cereal factory. So if there's one built into the map like this one here, you can look at the icon like this. I can walk up to it, hit R, and it'll allow me to purchase it. Now, if you do end up purchasing it, you can't walk up to this to sell it. That brings you into the productions menu. So in order to sell one that's on the map built in, you have to go into the construction mode, click it, and then you can sell it from there. Now, there's no way to replace this on there unless you have a mod installed that'll allow you to do that. But in general, there's no way to do this, and what we are talking about today applies to all platforms. So there you go. Once it's gone, it's gone. If you buy it on the map and then decide to sell it. So just be aware of that. Now, the other way is if we hop back over to where we were at up over here, we have this production facility here, which obviously is not normally here. So we can place our own. We go into the build menu, go to productions, which by the way, you can either access the build menu through the store or you can hit Shift P on PlayStation, or excuse me, not PlayStation, on PC to jump into it here. Now, if we scroll over, we have the cereal factory right here, 110,000 to buy. We can hold down the right mouse button to rotate it as such, depending on where we want to put it, but you can place your own in that way. And again, you can sell this one by being in the build menu, clicking on it, and then hitting sell, or you can demolish it from in here. Now, another thing to note while we're in here, you can click on this building and I can rename it. So if I wanted this to be Cereal Factory for Farmer Cop, I can just do that right there. And this is Cereal Factory FC. That's how it will be listed in our productions menu as well. So that's how you get it placed and set up. Now, the main task you have to do is provide the appropriate resources for it. So for the cereal production plant, for this guy right here, what it takes, it is going to intake raisins, oats, honey, and corn. And it'll take those four ingredients. It needs those four ingredients to output its one output, which is cereal. So that's how this one is going to work specifically. Now, after you produce cereal, there's nowhere else it can go. There's no further production chains for it. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get those appropriate resources in there. So what you're going to see is you're going to see this little dump icon right here. This is where you're going to input the appropriate resources. So we're going to input our resources there. So we have all of our resources here. I have a trailer with corn, a trailer with oats. Then we have some honey pellets. Of course, one is stuck in the ground, so we'll ignore that one. And then we have some raisins over here. To get honey, you need to place bees and place a honey spawn point, and then it'll start producing honey. To get raisins, you need to grow grapes or produce grapes or buy grapes and then place them into a grape processing facility, which will then produce raisins for you. So those are the things to do. Now, these pallets you cannot normally lift by hand. I am using super strength, but you can use pallet forks or somewhere else to move them, or you can just push them around by hand, however you want to do it, but or not by hand, excuse me, by a piece of equipment. But what you're going to do with your stuff, you're going to bring them up to this dump icon, and it's going to intake them into the factory just like that. So we're going to do that with our honey as well. And I'll put the rest of them in there off camera, but you're just going to come up to the icon and it will start putting them in there just like that. Now, you should be able to move the honey pallets by hand, or excuse me, no, you won't be able to do that. Sorry, they are just a little bit too big. I couldn't remember. Sometimes you can move the partial pallets just fine, but 200 kilograms is your limit for what you can do. Now, as far as trailers go, if I hop into this guy right here, this guy's got oats, which we know is part of the ingredients that we need to make cereal. So if I just pull this tractor right up over the icon here, it will give me a I to unload. There we go, down to the bottom. Should give me one here in just a second, I to unload. I can start overloading into our production facility and I can dump all of these oats in there. If I want to, it doesn't really need all of them, so we'll just go ahead and call it good there. But that's how you load stuff into the factory. I'll put the rest of the ingredients that we need in there a little bit later, which is just probably going to be more honey. And then our corn is going to need to go in there as well. But that's how you get ingredients into this right here. Now, we need to talk about the productions menu, which there's two ways to access it. One, you can come up to the factory and then hit R when you're at this gear icon to pull you into here. Or you can go into the menu by hitting escape, scroll down to this conveyor belt here, and you'll be able to access the productions menu here. This will list all of your factories here. So if you're running multiple factories, kind of like I showed you how this is renamed to Cereal Factory FC, for Farmer Cop, you can rename your factories to keep track of them a little bit better. But let's talk about this productions menu in here. First thing, down at the bottom, you can hit activate, which will say running up here, but now it's going to say materials missing because we have not provided the corn yet, so it can't produce anything yet. Or you can deactivate it there and it'll show up as inactive. Now, down here, this is how many cycles per hour. So this is how many times it's going to do this recipe every hour. And this is the cost per hour of this factory running. So it's going to cost you $5 per hour to run. It will do 3 cycles per hour. So every cycle, it's going to take 30 honey, 30 liters of honey, that is, 30 liters of raisins, 60 liters of oats, and 60 liters of corn. and it's going to produce in total 60 liters of cereal, or 60 units of cereal. So it'll do this 3 times an hour. So what that means is every hour it will produce 180 liters of cereal if it has enough products in it. So that's how all the production as far as the actual recipe goes and how that works. Now, if we go over here to the building storage, this is how much we have in storage and how much we have inside of here right now. So we have 239 liters of honey, 999 liters of raisins, 4,403 liters of oats, and no liters of corn. Then down here, this will show us how much cereal we have in our production facility. Now down here at the bottom, we can change the output mode, and that's going to change this right here. So we have storing, selling, and distributing, and then back to storing. We're going to talk about those in a little bit more detail here in just a bit. So now that we've provided everything, what I'm going to do is just put a little break in here. I'm going to go ahead and get everything we need in this factory, so we'll be good to go, and we'll start producing some resources. All right, so we have some resources in there. Another thing to note, down there in the bottom right-hand corner, if you're near the factory, it'll show you kind of an update of what's going on inside. So it'll show you everything on there on the right side as far as storage and everything goes. Let's go back into that production menu by going in the menu here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and activate this. So it should say running, and it will start producing cereal. So let's talk about the different modes. So the first mode we're going to leave it in here is storing. And what storing is going to do is it is going to produce, once it gets enough in here to produce a pallet, it will spawn a pallet out in this checkered area here, and it'll keep doing that until the checkered area is full. And once the checkered area is full, it'll keep storing cereal up here until this gets full, and then the production will stop. That is what the storing function will do, and we'll take a look at what a full pallet looks like here in just a little bit. Now, if we switch this over to selling, what it's going to do is once it gets a little bit, doesn't even have to be a full pallet. Once it gets however much it wants to have in here to sell, it will go into the prices menu here. It will find cereal. Go down here to here. It will take the largest price or the highest price, which is $48.90, and it will sell it. Now, it will charge you to sell it. It will cost a fee to sell it. It'll take 40% of your profits. You only get 60% of what this value is per 1,000 liters to sell a pallet, or to sell per 1,000 liters. You only get 60% of your total value. You have the economy mode to set to hard. My understanding is that it will, the price will cost you a little bit more, and if you have it set to easy, it'll be less. So in normal economy, it will take 40% of your profit to sell it there. So just be aware of that. Now, if we go back in the production menu and we switch this over to distributing, what this will do is it will hold on to it in here until it gets enough to transport on further down the assembly line to another factory. Now, cereal is not used in any other productions, so this function is essentially a storage function. So if you have it set to distributing, it will not spawn pallets out in the checkered area outside. It will just store this until it's full in here, until you change it back to storing mode, where it will start spawning pallets. Now, if you do change the mode after you've had some pallets out here from storing, it will not then take those pallets and sell them or put them back inside as far as the distributing function goes. Once they're out there, they're your problem to deal with, if that makes sense. But we're gonna leave it on storing for now, and I'm gonna fast forward some time, and I'll bring you guys back in once we have a full pallet out here so we can talk about that. All right, so you have a full pallet of cereal. I love the way it looks on there. I love it. That looks fantastic. So there you go. A full pallet is 1,000 liters. You can move it around with a forklift. I can move it by hand because I have super strength, but that's not normal. So you can move it around by hand. Now, what do you do with cereal after we produced it? Well, the only thing you really can do with it is sell it. And again, you can go into here, find cereal, and you can sell it to whatever the highest price is at the time, and make a little bit of extra cash from it. But that's all you can do with the cereal, guys. But anyhow, and that is everything you need to know as far as productions go with the cereal plant. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please drop a like down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button up on the screen to join the Farmer Cop channel, and turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any future videos I may post. This has been Farmer Cop. Thank you guys for coming and for watching.